Shalom, everybody, and welcome to the Yishai Fleisher Show, broadcasting live from Judea to the world. You're a part of it wherever you are. Shalom, and welcome to our fabulous living room here in Judea. Malkah Fleisher joins me. Malkah, shalom, and welcome.
Shalom, Yishai. I'm so glad that you like our living room.
I like our living room. And
because you're going to be here some more.
Yes, I will be here some more because of the impeding lockdown. Impeding? No, not impeding. Impending, not impeding. Impeding is the opposite.
Right,
it's
like just an N.
Yeah, no, impending lockdown in which they're promising up to 2 weeks of a lockdown.
No. Oh, no. You said that wrong.
Oh, again, I said it wrong.
Not up to 2 weeks. At least 2 weeks.
Oh, my gosh.
Yeah, here we go. Guys. So first of all, wait, maybe we should go backwards. I hope everyone had a really nice Hanukkah.
Right, and this is our first post-Hanukkah show.
Yes, we didn't even do a Hanukkah show.
Which was very rare. I skipped a show.
Yeah, that is very rare.
I don't know when the last time I skipped a show is, and even when I'm traveling, I usually do a show. Traveling, yeah, remember that? Anyway.
Do you remember those videos that came out at the beginning of Corona where people would pretend that they were on an airplane they would go on the automated sidewalk by going on their treadmills, and they would look at TVs through
or the laundry machine.
Yeah, that was funny.
Yeah, I missed that. Yeah,
it's not as funny anymore.
I do miss I miss traveling because it's just part of my life.
Right.
But I've also enjoyed the time at home and not traveling. And I guess for me, and this is could be an instructive thought for other people as well. I have understood this time for me personally as a type of Shabbat Haaretz, which is a sabbatical year. That's how I understood it, a forced sabbatical year upon the land, upon Israel. For example, yesterday I was on a fabulous tour around the old city walls of a course that I'm taking about touring the Temple Mount. Tons of information, tons of stuff. The only problem is it just to retain all the amazing information about the different walls around the temple. Now, did I say around the old city? What I meant was around the Temple Mount. Okay, Malkah, so we started at the Davidson Center,
right,
which is the southern excavations, learned about the different...
You went around the inner walls, basically.
Let's say it in the most exact, ledayek, as we say in Hebrew, ledayek. That means to exact.
To be exacting.
Yeah. We went around the Temple Mount walls, the second Temple Mount walls.
Right.
That's what we did. So we
went the western wall, the eastern wall.
Right. That. So we barely touched the regular western wall plaza. We did the southern wall, then we went east where the Arab graveyard where the Arab graveyard is, and then we went north of the Temple Mount walls, and we saw the various gates that the Arabs have today. Shara Shvatim, Shara Kutna, all these different gates that they have onto the Temple Mount platform. And anyway, we learned it. But the one thing I was so noticeable is wow, there's not a lot of people in the old city of Jerusalem. And
right, it's quiet.
Usually it's packed.
I think it's around the time right now is around the time I think of the Light Fest. No, the Light Festival's in the summertime.
But it is almost the time of that Christian holiday called Christmas.
Yes.
And we went down.
You tend to forget about these things.
Now I didn't have any pains or I didn't have any stations or any problems, but I did go down the Via della Rosa, okay? Because that is a regular street down the old city.
Yeah, it's a nice street. It's open to the public.
Right. Now
it's a thoroughfare from the Lions Gate into the rest of the old city.
Correct. So here I am walking down the Via della Rosa. From time to time I stop to, Did you feel anything, Yishai? Did you feel like you could save the world? But you know what I did notice though? What I did notice was that the stores are closed. All the shops that are the tourist shops are closed. So that was very different. Anyway, back to the original topic, which is that this is a different kind of time. The country is closed. It's not for tourism. It's not the way it used to be, or is not the way it is usually. And that's the kind of time that we're living in. It's like a sabbatical year. I
miss our tourists. I miss our Jewish tourists. I miss our non-Jewish tourists.
Sure.
I miss everybody. I do miss everybody. We had it was a very interesting summer. I think we feel it less in the winter time. You were really out yesterday, so I guess that's why we're talking about this, because you really felt it. But in the summertime, everyone's out, you know what I mean? You're really out. In the wintertime, you're more inside your house, you're more inside your office or whatever.
Right.
But in the summertime, it was funny because like, you know, you're used to like, brrr, like the sound of like bus after bus after bus, and this bus is pulling in and this bus is coming out, and like tourists coming down and tourists going up, and like seeing lots and lots of people and traffic because there's so many people, Baruch Hashem, who come to the land of Israel, Jews and non-Jews who come to see all the special places in the land of Israel and to have fun. And this summer it was just Israelis.
Right.
Which is like, I don't ever remember a summer like that. There's never been a summer like that.
It's a sabbatical year. It's just a year for like here for us, just to be us, and for everywhere else. I'm sure it's the same type of thing. It's like a sabbatical year. Anyway, I'm really hoping for this thing to finish off after a year. That's my new like hope.
Right.
I remember that.
Maybe with Purim. It'll
right.
be,
I think like by Pesach,
seal off.
like it'll,
and I would like I kind of am now like having dreams to like welcome guests into my home.
Although you do know that about 50,000 Israelis made it to Dubai.
It's unbelievable. The second they opened Dubai, it was like whoosh.
Whoosh.
I think it was more than 50. I think it was like a lot. I think it was,
or maybe 50,000 people were coming back now or something.
Yeah, I think there were like 80,000 Israelis, something like that.
So
or 80,000 trips that were made by Israelis.
I called my good buddy Ezri Tubi yesterday just to talk to him.
Oh.
And he's like, yeah, I just came here from Dubai.
No way.
I'm like, what were you doing there? He's like, yeah, tour with my dad.
Wow.
And he's like, but I like India better. Okay.
You know, I work for a Jewish News Syndicate, JNS, and I help them to publish their articles. And I've noticed a slew of op-eds recently where people talk about like how they can't believe how hospitable the United Arab Emirates people are toward Jews specifically, meaning to say not just that they're good at hospitality or something, but that they're walking down the street in a kippah. And a few people wrote that they feel more comfortable to walk down the street in a kippah in Dubai than they do in New York. Can you believe that? That's a big change. That's like a big change on every level, right?
Yeah. That
says something about everything.
It says something about everything.
People really like they were moved. Like people just were like, they were met with such a warm response by the local citizens who are, you know, you've seen so many pictures, right, of people in this like traditional white, beautiful, you know, Arabian garb. And they're learning like basic Hebrew, right? And they're like, Jews get to their hotel and they're like, Shabbat Shalom, they tell them, right? And they're just like, so it's, you know, if you look at this also, certainly we can look at this in the context of like Israeli history, but if you look at this in the context of Jewish history, this is like an unbelievable thing.
So a few comments on that. First thing, since as a youth, I used to hang out in the Sinai. So to us Bedouins who understand us and like us is like an old tale. So for us, it's a coming home. You know, it's like a normal feeling. And I will add to that I was talking with my mom a lot about an article that I'm writing about post-jihadism in the Middle East. And she said to me that one of the things that is being discussed in places like Saudi Arabia is that pro-Israel and Israel being able, what's it called? What's the new museum that they're making now in Jerusalem? Tolerance, right? Mm-hmm. The tolerance of Jews, tolerance of Israel is actually something that we think of as new in the Muslim world. But within Islam, especially in places like Saudi Arabia, they don't want to call it a modern religious movement or a religious what do we call it in America?
Like a renaissance?
Yeah, right. They don't want to say it's a new phase of their religion. They want to say
we're getting back to our old
That's
values.
What they're saying.
That is the way to market it.
Right. That's what they're saying.
And it's true.
Right. They're like Islam was never this Wahhabism.
Right.
It was
radical.
never.
It wasn't radical.
Right.
It was a faith in the one God and a serving of the
right.
God. And
now, listeners may say this is a conquering religion and it's had many jihadist moments.
Right.
Which is true.
Right.
But at the same time, that's the way that they want to, as you said very correctly, Malkah, market it. They want to market it as original Islam.
Right. I mean, you always, Yishai, as long as I've known you, you've been a proponent of this idea, at least locally. When we ever talk about like local Arab versus Jewish relations, you've always said that there's like two modes. There's the Philistine mode, and there's the Ishmaelite mode. The Philistine mode, the ancient Philistines were a war-making people who made a lot of trouble for Jews, for Israelites in the land of Israel, and were always an enemy combatant people, and we never really had a good peace with them ever. But the Ishmaelites were a different story. Now, the story of Ishmael and Isaac was, of course, a story in which the family had to break apart because Ishmael and Isaac couldn't be together, especially while Isaac was growing up.
Right.
He wasn't a good influence on the little Isaac. And Sarah Imenu, our mother Sarah, knew that, and she took like a very harsh tack, and she felt she was doing what she had to do. And the Jewish people, incidentally, throughout history, celebrate this decision, and it's considered the right decision amongst all the rabbis. But at the same time, Ishmael and Isaac make peace at the end, and they bury their father Abraham together. And it's considered true that even though Isaac is the holder of the special inheritance from Abraham of this descendancy, that nonetheless Ishmael is blessed, and he is definitely a son of Abraham, and nobody denies this. At least that he's the son of the same man, right? They consider it maybe spiritually different because Abraham was Avram when he became the father of Ishmael, and then he became Avraham when he was the father of Yitzchak. So it's a little different, but basically it's the same. And even in Marat Machpelah and Hebron, nobody denies that there is a truth to the fact that Arabs should have access to Marat Machpelah because this is the tomb of their father.
But the question is, how will they relate to it? Do they relate to it as Ishmaelites, as in we are the children of
the children of Abraham who can live, can accept this blessing of largesse that Abraham gave him, and that they will be very multitudinous, and that they'll be wealthy, and that they'll be very established in the world, and be content with that? Or will they be the Philistines who like just need to always scrounge what they can get, like a bunch of hyenas who will always be attacking no matter what? And it's amazing.
And who want to basically rid the land of Israel of Jewish sovereignty. And that is what their thing is.
Right, they fight the Jews over Israel.
They fight the Jews over the land of Israel. That is what the Philistine thing is.
Right.
That is not what the Ishmaelite thing is.
So, Yishai, it's been a pleasure for me to see the ascendancy of the Ishmaelite.
Absolutely.
And that the... You know, it's so interesting, Yishai, because you and I, we're on Twitter, we're on Facebook, we're especially on Twitter. And so often people want to call us racists and occupiers, all these things, right? It's a place, if you've ever really hung out on Twitter, it's a very vitriolic, ad hominem attacky type of place. But I don't think people realize how so wrong they are about the religious people who settle in Judea and Samaria, and how like utterly they don't get us.
Right.
You know, I think that there is nobody on earth who is more happy with this new relationship between the Arab world and the Jewish world than us. I think that we have been waiting for this kind of Arab to show up in the world.
Yeah.
And we've always known that we are people who can live together, who should live together. You know, so much of our political hierarchy for the last many decades has been working to like separate us away from Arabs. If we can just put ourselves in a bubble, then we'll be safe. And the way that we should put ourselves in a bubble is by just give them whatever. It doesn't even matter. And let's just make our wall and live in the wall. And we'll have like crazy guns and we'll point them at everybody. And you guys be out there and we'll be in here and leave us alone, right? But the Jews in Judea and Samaria, they actually live with Arabs. Now, it's true that we're not like in each other's houses and drinking coffee and like each other's kids playing with each other so much, at least mostly. I'm sure there are cases like that, but generally not. But we do live with them, right? We're on the same roads together. We're in the grocery store together. I go to the same grocery store every week. And the people who work in the grocery store are some Jews, but really a lot of Arabs from this area, including Bethlehem and other local towns. And I see them every week. Now, I'm the kind of person, if I see you more than like once a month, I can't pretend that like we just have a relationship of like you do X for me and I say thank you and goodbye. Like I have to know you a little bit. I have to. So like we smile, hello, how are you, right? And there's like we recognize each other. I was in the pasta aisle and a guy from the meat section walked by and he's like ma shlomech, right? Because he sees me every week.
Right.
So we lived, and I'm like, hi, right? No, we didn't sit and talk about each other's kids necessarily overly, but like we want to have like a nice relationship. The point is that the Jews of Judea and Samaria were the ones who stand face to face with these people, and we know more than anybody what the potential is.
Right.
Now, that doesn't mean we're going to just roll over if somebody asks us for something. That's different. But to say that Jews in Judea and Samaria hate Arabs is like so wrong. It's the farthest thing. And so to see that there are Arabs in the world who accept us seemingly, right? I'm not jumping all in with my eyes closed, but seemingly accept us for who we are fine with our sovereignty in our land, want an upwardly progressive, upwardly mobile relationship with us, and to build a Middle East, which is a good place to live, which is a normal place to live, which has all the Western amenities, but all the Eastern values, that they want to do that with us with seemingly quote unquote no strings attached is like what we've been waiting for this whole time.
Even if there are strings attached, there's still a relationship that you can have, and you could argue back when you have a relationship. Okay, for example, some people say Christians, they all want you to convert to Christianity, and then they believe in the rapture and all that kind of stuff. Okay, maybe some do.
Right. There's a lot of people who, for example, get very bent over backwards when they find out that somebody got a donation from like a Christian.
Right. It's just
like an evangelical Christian pro-Israel person.
Right. And
because they say that money is like money which is
tainted
because the person is really wants the money to go to you becoming a Christian, and they wouldn't support you anyway unless they thought that this rapture was going to happen and that the Jews are going to be punished and then their God is going to come, etc. But we know that that's not true, right? We know that there are some people like that. There are people like that, and maybe those people shouldn't be part of the story.
Right. But there are people who simply read the Bible and see that it's coming true and want to be part of this great time.
We have a lot of listeners like that.
That's right. Same thing also for the Islamic world. There's a lot of people there who are like, listen, Israel's real. We read about it in the Quran in a good way. We see it's our cousins. We've lived with them for the last thousands of years. We know about them, and they know about us also on some kind of genetic level as well. You know what, Malkah?
There is a family relationship.
There's a family relationship. You know, Malkah, I want to say to you, the people who throw out the word apartheid and racism and all that, they are, as you just pointed out, they're really liars. They are really liars, and they're really trying to create an anti-Israel narrative. That's their whole goal in life. But the truth is there's just a simple answer, and I keep on writing it on Twitter as well, which is, I'm an Israeli Jewish nationalist. I believe in a strong Jewish ethnic national state called Israel.
Right.
But I also believe in it being part of the Middle East.
Right. It's not like you're out to conquer the rest of the Arab world.
Surrounded by strong ethnic national Arab states. This whole thing that I just laid out is called nationalism.
Right. And we like that about you. We don't dislike that you're an Arab country. We like that you're an Arab country. That's fine. That's fine. Great. Go do it.
Right.
And we're going to be us, you be you, and we'll
have a relationship.
Yeah, it'll be great.
You have your land and we'll have our land, and together we'll be strong through a relationship called ethnic nationalism.
Right. And it'll be honest.
Right. It'll be honest. It'll be true. And nobody will steal each other's lands.
Right.
And just what we just laid out right now is one of the most important things to lay out to people today. This whole idea that Israel's a democracy and therefore it's got rights for everybody. All that stuff confuses the issue totally. If you just lay out to people, we're an ethnic national country, surrounded by ethnic national countries. We are all Semitic peoples in this region, but we have our different tribal areas, and they're delineated through nation states. When you just lay that out to people, people are like, oh. And then it's like, what are you talking about racism? Racism? Who's talking about racism? God forbid. Nobody's racist around here. But this is my tribal land and not yours. And that just solves the whole thing. So, and it's true. And it's true. And if you just market Israel for what it actually is, which is an ethnic national Jewish state, trying to get self-determination for the Jewish people and their ancestral homeland, you're like, oh. And I urge folks that listen to this and found it interesting to just listen to these few words a few times over, and you'll just get it in your head. However, on the other hand, let's not whitewash everything. We still have a strong counter movement, which is, I call it jihadism. And that jihadist movement murdered Esther Horgan,
Right.
52 years old, an Ola from France, mother of 6, and obviously
A beautiful, healthy woman.
lively, vivacious, and vibrant person. Murdered.
who wanted nothing from anybody. She wanted to
Right.
go for a jog.
Right, she went out for a walk or a jog and was struck by rocks or a rock, smashing her skull and killing her. This also led to a protest by some young men that are oftentimes called Hilltop Youth, which are these kind of like Jews that build communities, work with their hands, beautify the land, hold on to the land. They oftentimes wear large sidelocks, large kippot.
They
And
tend
they're-
to have a distrust of the government.
In any case, they may or may not have been throwing rocks at Arab vehicles. May or may not. That has not yet been proven. But one thing is for sure, the police was chasing them, and the Israeli police was chasing them to stop them. They were both in vehicles at some point, and the Israeli police rammed on purpose
Which is obviously so illegal.
It is illegal, and anyway. This caused the vehicle of the young people to flip over and killed a beautiful young man. I say beautiful just because he was just
Handsome.
very handsome and just he had light shining from his face, and his name was beautiful, Ahuvia Sandak, and he was killed. And this brings us to the fact that tomorrow is the 10th of Tevet.
Right.
And I guess I didn't make this connection earlier, but I just took a tour around the old city walls, around the Temple Mount walls. But that's exactly what the 10th of Tevet remembers, which is the breach of those walls by Nebuchadnezzar.
Right.
Nebuchadnezzar in the first temple. We don't have a lot of holidays that commemorate the first temple. And we're commemorating the Babylonian siege, Babylonian Chaldean siege on Jerusalem, which eventually led to the destruction of the first temple, which, by the way, the first temple is what had the Ark of the Covenant with
where we don't know exactly
right.
where
and
it
it was
now.
hidden from then on, from the
Right.
end of the first temple period. We
We didn't get it back for the second temple?
No, it did not exist. No, it was hidden. It was hidden away, and so that says something. And also, the 10th of Tevet is an important fast for people like us, Malkah. I think this is my new understanding of it, because one of the things that the rabbis tack on to the 10th of Tevet is the translation of the Torah by Ptolemy, the forcing of the translation of the Torah.
It used to only be in Hebrew.
Right, into the Greek, and it became the Septuagint, the Septuaginta, okay? And it went into Greek, which is, according to the rabbis, the language most like Hebrew, most able to retell the Bible in some kind of true form, and yet at the same time brought like 3 days of darkness, according to the sages. And that's because, the simple answer is because the way that Ptolemy wanted the Torah to be translated is that so that he can just stack it amongst his other knowledges and just add it to
the library,
to the academia, another thing to be studied and understood and owned, and therefore God became
academic.
He became. In the next segment with Rav Mike Feuer, I use this also. What's that line from Aladdin? Incredible powers.
Itty bitty living space.
Itty bitty living space, right? It's like, oh, Here's the Torah, great wisdom.
Package it in these
Here it is
pages.
on my shelf.
Right.
Here it is there. The reason I say it's important to me and you, Malkah, is because you and I are part of the Septuagint tradition in the sense that we are also translating the Torah to the outside world.
But there's a big difference.
We hope.
We try.
I'm saying we hope that there's a big difference. And so just like bakers need to do some tshuva on Passover, you know.
Do they? That's funny. I never thought of that.
It's the day to think about what you're doing. And so to us, I think that the 10th of Tevet, if there has been in us any pgam, how do you say pgam?
Any flaw, defect.
Any flaw, defect in the way that we translated the Torah. That's our holiday to repent.
Interesting.
Deep
Good
thoughts.
one.
Malkah, before we go on to your next topic, I just want to talk about some of our sponsors.
Great.
Because the sponsors are not just sponsors, they're people that make it fun for us to connect people to Israel and Israel to the world, which was really our core mission. And today we have a new sponsor for the show, which is Aleph Mail.
Aleph Mail, like alpha male.
Right, but
Aleph.
Explain to our beloved listeners what Aleph Mail means, Malkah.
I mean, it means
what is the product? What does it do?
The product is male self-care products, especially beardy products.
That's right, Malkah.
You want a sweet-smelling, non-wild beard.
That's right, but with the drops of the wisdom, and as I say this in the next part of the show, go from a rabbi to a sage. You like that one?
That is funny.
I made
That's
that
a T-shirt.
Up. Yeah, I made that. Go from you like that one?
That is really funny.
Yeah, it's join the Aleph Mail Jewish beard care revolution. Make your beard majestic. With 100% natural beard oil and beard balm, handmade in Israel. Okay, and you can use special discount code Yishai10, and you'll get 10% off your purchase. I use it. I used it yesterday.
Yeah?
I cut my hair yesterday.
Wait, let me feel. Bring your face over here.
Well, it's already been a bit
soaked in.
It's soaked in. I got to put the new layer.
Well, I want
in.
to feel anyway.
Okay,
maybe
go ahead.
Softer.
All right, there it is.
I mean, it definitely feels majestic.
I don't want to talk about the fact that yesterday I was cutting my hair and I put on the wrong head on the buzzer in the back, and now I look like a chicken who's been
plucked a little bit
on one line of my head. But let's not talk about that. I wish Aleph Mail could fix that, but it can't. It does other great things. Aleph Mail. I will put it though on the back of the head here. So please go to Aleph Mail, and since it's a new sponsor, jump in there and please
show your support.
Show your support. That's alephmail.com. And speaking of that, salves of Jerusalem.
Yes.
Our good friends Rachel and Simcha make incredible salves.
I've been using them a lot
really?
recently. Yeah, I've been using because I still have my shoulder pain.
Yeah.
It's ongoing.
Yeah, Malkah's
I'm
fro
still dealing.
show.
My fro show is faux show.
Yeah.
Anyway, so I've been using the muscle balm.
Yeah.
Sometimes they have a magic muscle balm, which is kind of soothing on the shoulder.
Yeah.
And it's very good for the massagey feeling. It gives that good creamy feeling.
Right.
And because it's dry out, also I've been using the I forget what it's called, the family salve, I think it's called.
Family salve, that's right.
Which is like a go-to for everything, every kind of moisturization. So I've been using that on my face, and I one of my elbows is kind of dry. So I've been using that on my elbow.
Salvesofjerusalem.com.
Nice. It smells good, and it's all organic, and it's done right here in the land of Israel by really holy people.
And I came up for a slogan for them also, which is mind the myrrh.
Mind the myrrh. Don't mind the myrrh next time.
So I'm like now it's like,
if you know where that's from,
that's
can
right.
let us
Write
know.
it in. Please mind the myrrh. # mind the myrrh. Write to me, Yishai at thelandofisrael.com or Yishai Mind the myrrh. You like that? That's another
funny. It's only for a certain generation.
Okay,
though.
yeah, you're right. Mind the myrrh, right? And it literally has myrrh in it.
Yeah, it has all kinds of great stuff.
Myrrh and things like that from the land of Israel.
And Simcha, who I think formulated it himself, is very serious in his knowledge of healing properties of plants
100%.
and organic living and things like that. So it's very trustworthy.
Speaking of organic living, nothing says organic like a pickle that's been pickled.
Well,
like
they have those probiotics in them.
I'm telling you, and our friend Chaim at Prohibition Pickles will make amazing pickles for you and herring, and you will trick out your kiddush and make an awesome, powerful pickled kiddush. Powerful pickles.
Wait, but Yishai, you
Prohibition
don't.
Pickles.
It's funny that you don't mention the one thing that you actually love the most.
Oh my gosh, my daily driver.
We've gone through a bottle and a half of the one product that Yishai likes especially much, which is called Dude Shemesh. Now, dude, let me not the word indoctrinate is not what I'm looking for. Let me initiate. Thank you. Let me initiate you into another Israeli term and culture moment. A water heater is called a dude. Why? Don't know. Okay. It's called a dude. Now, on the top of roofs in Israel, because we're such a sunny country, almost every house or building has what's called a dude shemesh, which is a sun water heater.
Dude.
It's basically electric water heater, and it heats the water from the sun, and then you don't have to use your electricity to heat the water. This is especially useful in the summer, not as much in the winter. We also have in the house something called a dude chashmali, a dude which is electric. But anyway, the name of this spicy sauce
from Prohibition
Pickles is called Dude Shemesh, which is, it's spelled dude like hey dude, right? Shemesh, sun. So you got the dude, which is like, this is like a man sauce, but at the same, which girls are obviously allowed to eat. It's a man sauce, but it's Israeli referencing the dude shemesh.
That's
and
right.
the shemesh is hot. So you got all those word
It's
plays.
a spicy sauce that I like a lot, and the
You
folks
put it
that
on
make
everything.
it is Prohibition Pickle. And what you could do is you could send anybody in Israel a great Friday afternoon
Well,
gift.
let's say you have a shul that you want to support.
A shul,
You wanna
a
send it for
rabbi,
their
a
kiddush?
rebbitzin, an aunt, an uncle, or favorite show host. Okay, and you could just reach out to Prohibition Pickle. They are
And they do home deliveries.
Instagram. It's Prohibition Pickle, and same thing at Facebook. And they do home deliveries. And right now,
The sweet pickles are particularly excellent.
I'm looking. Yeah. Oh, he used to. It's interesting. I see that he has on Instagram. He's got a hot sauce, but it's called Gehenom. Okay.
Ooh, that's a new one to try.
All right.
Which is basically hell in.
That's right. All fire, hell, damnation.
Right.
Okay. And so check out Prohibition Pickles and send some gift to a friend. That's in Israel. But if you want a gift for outside of the land of Israel, 2 recommendations. Blessed by Israel. blessedbyisrael.com. Buy great gifts from the land of Israel. Send them to the world. We just sent out for Hanukkah gifts to some of our favorite donors.
Right.
And that was a lot of fun. So that's blessedbyisrael.com. Blessed by, B-U-I. If you type in coupon code.
B-U-Y.
B-U-Y.
I thought you said I.
B-U-Y. And so if you do that, then I was probably D-U-I, and that's why I said B-U-I. Okay. I haven't actually had any liquor this morning. I had some coffee and some chocolate, some Israeli chocolate. And you can get some Israeli chocolate at blessedbyisrael.com, including holy cacao. Holy cacao. That's actually a real chocolate. And finally, tchelet.com. Tchelet.com is where you could get the biblical blue string, which is back. After being gone for thousands of years, it's back, and you can be part of this great mitzvah, great commandment, and be part of it in our amazing time. That's Tchelet, TEKHELET.com. My good friend,
now is definitely,
Dr. Brodsky,
Yeah.
got some Tchelet.com,
Oh, yeah?
but he is the kind of guy, since he's a doctor, a cardiologist, and a pilot.
He's a Renaissance man.
Yeah, so he's like, he tied his own tchelet already.
Yeah,
I mean,
Batuach.
next thing he's going to dye his own tchelet.
Yeah, probably. He's going to find the snails.
You know, those guys tie and dye. Those guys die and tie, you know? So
well,
that's
now
tchelet.
is a very good time if you want to send a gift to somebody in the land of Israel. Now is a good time because I think the next 2 weeks or so are going to be a little hard. Here's some of the regulations that they're... I love you, Israel. I love you. I love you, and I'm in, okay? I'm in all the way. But I want to say that I think that when announcements are made about stuff like, I'm going to lock you in your house for 2 weeks, that you have to say what the regulations are then. You can't go, well, I'm going to lock you in your house for 2 weeks. I'll let you know. Okay? I'll let you know what that is going to mean, and you were going to figure it out. The first thing they did was on Wednesday, they shut the skies, basically. And they did it kind of quickly. So Israelis were left scrambling, people who wanted to leave and people who wanted to return, because they said that people had to go into quarantine in these army-run hotels, quarantine hotels. There's 2 kinds of hotels. There's the quarantine hotel and there's the coronavirus hotel. The coronavirus hotel is for people who already have coronavirus. And the quarantine hotel is for people who they're not sure yet, right? They just don't want you to they don't want you to possibly infect anybody. It's because of this apparent mutation version of coronavirus that's coming out of the United Kingdom, and everyone coming back from the United Kingdom basically has to go straight to a quarantine hotel. But other Israelis at quarantine hotels are now upset because they say, wait a second, you're going to bring these people in from the UK. What if we don't have coronavirus and then we catch it and we get this bad coronavirus, right? This one that's seemingly like much, much easier to catch. And there's 4 confirmed cases of this UK mutation. I don't know how they know that.
Some
but
people say, my sister told me that the reason there's a UK mutation is because the UK monitors mutations, and it's the only place that monitors.
That actually knew about it.
There are many, it seems,
strands.
Strands.
Right.
So she says that really, but we'll see. So
okay, here's the restrictions. We've been through a lot of this before, so there's not a lot of surprises. You're not allowed to go into someone else's home, except for immediate family members, although I don't know how they're going to figure that. Like, what are they going to come into your home and see who's there? Restrict movement to 1 kilometer from home, except for if you're getting a vaccination. I think there's also some people who will be allowed to go to work. They're going to shut down commerce, leisure, and entertainment, limit public transportation to 50% capacity, limit workplaces that don't deal with customers face-to-face to 50%, no takeaway in restaurants, only delivery, and certainly no sitting in restaurants. Gatherings restricted to 20 people outdoors, 10 indoors. You're allowed to go jogging still. That's one they never shut down. That's an interesting one. But there's one thing that's a little bit different this time. Last 2 lockdowns. Wait, which number of lockdown will this be?
3.
3. Okay. I've lost track. The last 2 lockdowns, the kids were all home from school, all of them. Since then, all the kids have gone back to school on some capacity. Our daughter, Leah Batzion, who's in 7th grade, she's gone back twice a week to school for like half days. She's not so thrilled about it, but it's better than it was before. But the rest of her days, she's on Zoom at home. But now all the pediatric authorities got together, like the Israel, I think, Pediatric Association or something like that. The head of it was like, you cannot keep little children home again for that kind of amount of time. It's too hard for them. It's too jarring for them. You're going to mess up their minds. It's not right? And so the government listened. And they said that kindergarten and preschool, I think, grades 1 through 4 and grades 11 through 12, because those people are taking like big matriculation exams, the grades 11 through 12, will hold classes from 8 a.m. to 1 p.m. So littler children will be staying in school, which is kind of on the one hand, it seems dangerous, but they're saying it's not so dangerous because those kids actually don't get corona or get very sick so much. So they're going to stay in school. That's kind of nice. But one thing that's going to happen is that Israel had these 2 locations, Eilat and the Dead Sea. They were called Green Islands, where if you went and got a coronavirus test and you were found to be negative, then you could enter those cities, and you still had to do things like wear a mask, and you're supposed to socially distance and things like that.
And we went to Eilat.
But you can go there and take advantage of whatever amenities are available, because those are tourist places, and go enjoy a tad of tourism, but also shore up these places which are essentially totally reliant on tourism. So we had the opportunity to go. We went to Timnah over Hanukkah. We had a great time. We had a lot of adventures and a couple of misadventures. But we also got the opportunity to go for the first time to Eilat for like 6 hours. We wanted to see it, and we drove down there. We got coronavirus tests ahead of time and did everything right. And we're able to go there, and we had the blessing and opportunity to get on a boat and go into the Red Sea, and it was very, very special and very beautiful, albeit short. And we got to see that Eilat is like pretty quiet right now, even though I know a lot of people went down there for Hanukkah because they got the negative coronavirus test. But now they're shutting it down, basically. No more Eilat, no more Dead Sea, at least for the duration of the lockdown.
Okay, Malkah, thank you very much for that coronavirus update. We hope that it's going to be. We hope that it's going to be the end and the last one. I don't know what side of the vaccine debate you guys are on, and frankly, whatever. Let's just put it aside. Hope for the best right now. In the meantime, I want to hear from you. Write me an email, Yishai at YishaiFleisher.com or Yishai at thelandofisrael.com. I want to thank another sponsor for our show, which is the Land of Israel Network, with many great shows. And I want to thank the great work of Ari Abramowitz and Jeremy Gimpel, who are the founders of this network. I also want to thank Ben Bresky, Tabitha, and Moshe Herman, my man, who helps get the show out to the world. I want to thank Yocheved for working so hard on the YishaiFleisher.com website, including our donate page, which is active right now. It's actually support page. And if you go to YishaiFleisher.com/support, this is a great time right now before the end of the fiscal year.
Yes, absolutely. We really need your support, and we want you to know that your support really does make a big difference. We have advertising campaigns and all kinds of things that we want to do, outreach campaigns that we want to do, and we have some incredible people out there, all kinds of people from all over the United States and all over the world who are supporting the work that Yishai is doing, the work that we're doing, and it makes all the difference. So we really want to thank you so much for all the support you've shown this year. And really give you a blessing that it should really be a blessing for you going into the next solar year. We're all going to need blessings as a new round of elections is coming to Israel. I'm sure we'll be talking about that a lot in upcoming shows. But we're out of time for this week.
That's right. We're out of time for this week. Next up is Rabbi Mike Feuer, Rav Mike. He's a rock star. We talked live on video chat, and it's on my Facebook page as well. So join that. And see it. But in the meantime, here's Rav Mike Feuer, Malkah Fleisher. Shabbat Shalom. Have an easy fast, the 10th of Tevet.
Good news. Only good health.
Good news. Amen. And God bless you, folks, wherever you are. Stay tuned, stay strong, stay connected. And we'll be right back with Rav Mike Feuer and the Torah portion of the week. Shalom, everybody, and welcome to the Yishai Fleisher Show, broadcasting live on Facebook, on Twitter, on YouTube, and on the Land of Israel Network. And you're a part of it wherever you are. So thank you so much for joining us. And today we have the great privilege of having back on the show our beloved Rav Mike Feuer. Rav Mike, welcome back to the show. We missed you.
Hey, it's great to be back. Well, life gets in the way sometimes.
That's right. Well,
life gets in the way.
Well, we'll get to it in a second. Yesterday was one of the tougher days in Israel in a long time. There was a lot of bad stuff that happened yesterday. But before we get into that, the week beforehand was Hanukkah, and both you and I were off, so much so that I did something or didn't do something that it usually is not done, which I didn't do a show. I did not do a show. I skipped my show altogether. And
yeah, so did I.
Right, that's a big rarity. And so, but that's the power of Hanukkah. It was an awesome Hanukkah. Both you and I went on vacation, which is another way of saying we spent good time with the family.
That's right.
And also
good time and good money.
That's right, good money. That's right, and also good time in Eretz Yisrael. Eretz Yisrael. Got to see Eretz Yisrael. You went up north to the Golan. Is that right?
That is indeed the truth. Went to Avnei Eitan, the beautiful yeshuv on the southern part of the Golan Plateau, overlooking Kinneret, waterfalls, mountains, green. It was great.
That's great. The Golan is great. Waterfalls are great. And my general tendency and trend is to go down south during Hanukkah. So we went down to the Negev. We stayed at Timna Park, which is basically the Sinai Desert. And then went down to Eilat, rented a boat, and jumped into the Red Sea in the middle of the sea, man.
Wow.
It was awesome. It was just awesome. So great to be alive. And I understand why people like Zinni write the following. They write from all the way from Nigeria, say, Rabbi, I want to be Jewish, says Zinni. So our first recommendation usually is, the first thing is, learn more about Judaism and learn more about the Bible and about the commandments that even Gentiles have according to the Jewish narrative, the Jewish story, the Jewish Bible, the 7 commandments of Noach. There's a lot to learn about that, and being a Jewish person and a believing and faithful and God law-abiding Jewish person is a big task.
It might be biting off more than you really need to chew. There are other avenues to God that are open to everyone.
That's right. So that's definitely an opportunity. We also have a shalom from Erica, all the way from Sweden. What am I talking about? Sweden, and just got confused. And I actually wrote Erica an email today on Facebook, and also to Ibuten Sahartain Saya from Holland. And Joel says, good afternoon, Rabbi Fleisher. And Anna says, I am a Noahide. She says, I am a Noahide. So there are people
There you go.
all over the world that are really coming closer to Judaism, the Jewish story, and to the great rebirth of the Jewish people in the land of Israel. As I was just telling Malkah today, is it so hard to believe that there are people in the world who read the Bible and are like, wait a minute, the stuff that the Bible promises is going to happen is happening, and that's called Israel, and I want a part of it. I want some way to connect to that story.
And got on board, yeah. And the reality is we've seen increasingly over the last 200 years that people have awoken with all the complexity, etc., but awoken to, on some level, the simplicity of this story. It's like, oh, wait, there's a people who's playing out this drama, and we have an active role, and everybody is invited to join in that in whatever way they're capable. And some of those people have played very important roles, in terms of the Balfour Declaration and international politics, and others are just simple, good-hearted people that want to be part of the story.
Definitely. But what was the word you used? The simplicity? What was the word you said?
There's a certain simplicity to it. It's like, there's a people, God gave this book, and these people are still around, and look, they're in that land again. Like I said, trust me, I get how complex it is. I make my living off how complex it is, telling that story. But on another level, it's actually kind of that easy.
It really is easy to join the story. And Joel writes, "Why push away people who want to join us?" I think the opposite. There's many ways to join us. We don't, and that's our Jewish tradition. We don't recommend people join the peoplehood as a first step. We recommend people take other steps because joining the peoplehood is a big responsibility. And I think a lot of people have an emotional connection. They want to be part of as we said, the story. But that doesn't mean that necessarily have to jump into peoplehood. And that's just our way to it is actually our way to push people off a little bit and to say there's a different way. And then people who really, 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 really want it find a way in the end.
I agree, and I would just add that we have a major challenge of marshaling our forces from within right now. Now, sometimes those who come from without are a tremendous asset in that respect, particularly, as you said, those who fight their way in. But, I'm hesitant. I feel like the stakes are very high at being a Jew.
Right.
And there are many ways, like I said, many ways to attach oneself to God that don't necessarily involve biting off, not more than you can chew. Don't get me wrong. I think people are capable of an enormous amount, perhaps more than you need to.
Mm-hmm. Well, the one word that I wanted to kind of get stuck on, which is you said there's a certain simplicity. The big picture, in a sense, is simple, which is God made a promise to the forefathers of the Jewish people. The Jewish people went into exile, and now He's recalling them en road to the third temple. So that is the simple perspective. But when you get into the nitty gritty of it. Days like yesterday are anything but simple. Yesterday we woke up to find out that a Jewish woman, Esther what was her last name? Hargold.
I'm looking right now because I want to actually get her name correct.
Let's remember her good name. But her name is Esther, and she was 52 years old, mother of
Horgan.
What's that?
Horgan. Horgan.
Right.
G-A-N.
Okay. Right, Horgan. She was a mother of 6, lived in Samaria, went out for a walk or a jog in the forest right down the street from her house. I heard her husband speaking today on the news. It's a very normal thing to do there. And she was murdered by her skull being smashed by an assailant. The security forces think that was an act of terrorism, of jihadism, of anti-Israel Arab action. And here's a life cut down by this incredible and very obviously vivacious woman. I say obviously because you see her pictures and you can see
the pictures that people have been sharing are really noteworthy.
Right. This was a vivacious person, and she is no longer with us. And then that led to now this is all has not been really reported clearly yet.
Lots of pieces,
but it seems like there was some youth who were very upset about this incident and decided to throw rocks at Arab cars. And the police came to try to chase them down, Then there was a vehicular chase. The police bumped into, rammed the back of the young people's vehicle. It caused it to flip over and actually ended up killing a very beautiful young man. I say that just because the pictures of him are just...
Also striking.
Yeah, striking. And his name was Ahuvia, like lover of God or God loves.
Yeah.
Very painful. And on top of that, the Knesset practically voted to disband yesterday or voted not to avert
extend the budget deadline.
And,
functionally to disband.
Right. And on top of that, the Supreme Court is now entering into a process of trying to decide whether the Israel nationality law, which basically says Israel is the Jewish state, is constitutional or should be knocked down. And the likelihood is that this court is going to not just say everything's honky dory, and so.
I'm sorry. Can I ask you to pause? My wife is actually calling me, and I normally would not do this.
Absolutely. You go on.
Okay.
Should I take you off the screen for a second?
Yeah.
All right. So I took Rav Mike off the screen for a second. That's okay. No problem. But with all that, we do have an incredible Torah portion that we have to get to, and that Torah portion, the Torah gives us strength to get through all of the challenges that we face out there. And as you can see by the picture that I have in the background, it's the pyramids, and that's because we're going to really be talking about going down to Egypt. This is when Joseph is going to duke it out, if you will, with Yehuda. And then after that, here comes Rav Mike. You back?
Yeah, family first. Sorry, family first.
Hey, with that's why this technology allows that, and also it's good for them to see that we put our family and our wives first. So
listen, good. I mean, if the COVID era has done anything, it's erased the boundary between work and the rest of life.
True.
And that flows in two directions.
Oh, and I forgot to mention. Did I mention that little thing that there's a vaccine? But there's a new strain. So
although God willing, the vaccine will work on it, but it is kind of scary just to think that this thing's out there, like trying to get a step ahead of the whole process. I don't know.
I just want to be careful because I bet I have a lot of folks on Facebook here who are like vaccine bad or whatever it is. I am staying a little bit more agnostic on it all. I have not from the beginning dealt with the corona. What the truth of it is. But we all understand, and I think you understand as well, Rav Mike, that even if this thing is a good vaccine, it is still a machinery of control over us.
Yeah, I mean, it's inevitable that as soon as you can make a requirement, or if not a legal requirement, a functional requirement, your ability to travel and enter into public spaces, etc., dependent upon getting this vaccine, even though is likely to save many, many lives, I don't have enough trust for the systems of power that I want to further empower them to sort of curtail my liberty to do something which I actually want to do. And be clear, I plan on getting the vaccine when that time is there. I'm not, but I don't like the power and control element. On that note, can I say something about the Supreme Court piece? Because of all those bitter pieces, the only one I think I have something to add of insight on is it's very important to understand what you meant when you said that the Supreme Court is right now passing judgment on the nation-state law.
Yes.
So Israel does not have a formal constitution in the way that, say, America does, as a document which was created a priori upon which the government rests. Israel made a choice. You can listen to my episodes about it in Jewish Story back in the beginning of season 3, if I'm not mistaken. Made a choice to basically take what's called shitat salami in Hebrew, which is to pass basic laws along the way, which in their sort of cumulative form represent what's called entrenched law, which then all other laws are subject to. It's the Supreme Court that elevated certain of those basic laws, those entrenched laws, to be a formal constitution, meaning they themselves created that constitution, and now they are deciding whether something which the Knesset declared to be part of that basic law infrastructure indeed merits. It means they're not judging the law according to a pre-existing constitution. They are simultaneously deciding whether this is included in a constitution which they themselves arrogated to themselves the right to decide on. So, this is, and as much as I'm sort of wary of making a statement like this is the death of democracy. And that phrase gets used a lot these days, and so therefore it's lost most of its sting. But I'm telling you right now, from a procedural standpoint, that's what's happening, and a disastrous situation.
And the very fact that they're attacking the nation-state law is in itself very telling. The nation-state law really defines Israel as the nation-state of the Jewish people. Basically was there in order to be a countermeasure to the idea that Israel is just Jewish and democratic, and therefore those two values are equal, saying, no, when there's a conflict between Jewish and democratic, it's first a Jewish state. That's why it was established. And now the Supreme Court, which usually leans more towards what they would call democratic, is now going to go through the process of trying to take out the teeth.
Yeah.
Right?
Well, be specific. It was the Supreme Court that elevated the basic law for human dignity, and I forget exactly what the phrase of it is, to constitutional status. Meaning they took it out of the normal basic law status and made it the standard by which the other judge our laws. The nation-state law was passed to force the Supreme Court to have balance, that there would be a companion to that. But now they're judging whether the Knesset has the authority to elevate under the law to that level, which they elevated.
Right.
This is judge, jury, and executioner, and it is not a good day for our democracy. Right. Or for our ethnic state, whichever one you want to pick.
Right.
Even if you're not into the ethnic state, it's not a good day for your democracy either. Because when one branch of the government takes that type of power, if it works for you today, it might not work for you tomorrow. Oh, we're getting some requests for the Parsha? Okay.
That's right. It's now. But before we go on, Rav Mike, you and I, we share a lot of things. We have a lot of things in common. Some things we're different upon.
Sure.
But there is one thing, though, that we really do share. One can, and everybody just looking at us right now can just see that from any distance, which is we both have beards.
This is true.
And therefore, we are going to join the Aleph Male Jewish Beard Care Revolution. That's right, okay? We're going to make our beards majestic with 100% natural beard oil and beard balm handmade in Israel.
I'm a big fan of the product, in fact.
That's right.
Wait, watch this.
Oh, here we go. Take it out. Okay, he's digging through his stuff.
It's a little bit of a stretch to get there, but all the folks
there
out there in Radio Land.
That's right. The beard balm. You are showing it now for all to see, and this is called Aleph Male, right? Which is like alpha male, but is it Aleph?
But it's about Jewish masculinity. It's more than just a beard balm.
That's right. And guess what? Great news. If you go now to Aleph Male, you are gonna and you type in the special coupon code Yishai 10%. Okay, you will get your own Aleph Male brand awesomeness for your beard. It smells good. It makes it feel good. It makes you a proud Jewish male guy from the land of Israel with beard oil from the land of Israel.
Sacred. You're a holy Jewish male.
That's right. That's exactly right. Okay. And so that's Aleph Male. Thank you very much. And Yishai 10 is the coupon code, and they are proud sponsors of the show. And says Lou Weiss, he says, both of you have some gray hair. That is true.
Yeah. Thanks, Lou.
Aleph Male will not solve that, but it'll make the gray like a strong gray.
It'll make it distinguished.
That's right, like a wise. Like that's
distinguished.
That's right. That's not just a rabbi. That's a sage.
Oh. Okay. Let's get on to the parsha before we make total fools of ourselves.
Okay. All right. Good. Okay, but at least we'll do it looking good.
Okay. And feeling good.
Vayigash is a powerful Torah portion because it's really about, first it's about Judah approaching. May we approach the bench, Your Honor? And it's Judah who approaches the bench, approaches this vizier, this king, this what's it called? Not king, but second in command. This
the vizier,
vizier. This, but also a wizard of sorts, seemingly, and he's going to approach him and basically tell him the story in his version about why he can't leave Benjamin down in Egypt and not show up in front of his father Jacob without bringing Benjamin back home. And Joseph is going to watch this, and he's going to hear this, and what he's going to say probably is that just like he is the son of Rachel, and he saw his brothers cast him off and sell him, his brother Binyamin, a son of Rachel, is going to be treated very differently with kid gloves. We must return him to our father. We've got to do the right thing. And he sees that the brothers, represented now by a changed man, by a repentant man, Yehuda, Judah, act very differently vis-a-vis Binyamin than they did to Joseph. And he's going to understand that something has changed, and then he's going to break down and cry and reveal himself to the brothers.
Yeah. I mean, the sense of revelation, I think it's very powerful there. And that's not a small word that you threw out, because, this whole story has been driven by Joseph's dreams.
Right.
Right. And this sense he's had since he was a small child, that there's something larger trying to come into the world through him. But that really it was failures of relationship that were preventing it from finding its full expression. Whether it was Yaakov's failure in favoring Yosef, whether it was Yosef's failure in, sort of like not understanding and appreciating his brothers, whether it was the brothers' failure, etc. I mean, keep going. And that's why the ultimate revelation of Joseph to his brothers, right? Don't forget in that last parsha, like, that I'm seeking my brothers. Anochi, what's it? Anochi, thank you. Right, that he's finally found them, and in finding them and in fixing those relationships, it's really God's power which is revealed. Because of course, the natural response of his brothers is like, "Oh my goodness, now we're caught." Even if they've done tshuva, so to speak, and are now treating Binyamin properly, still they've got to look him in the face and say, "Yeah, last time we saw you, we beat you up and threw you in the pit and sold you to Egypt." And he says, "No, you didn't. God sent me to Egypt."
Right.
That's the revelation, right? Their fixing of the relationship allows him, probably for the first time ever, to fully accept that. I don't think you can undervalue that level at which he's able to accept that now that he's able to forgive his brothers.
Right. And he's had a long time to work on it. Probably, minimally. We're talking almost 20 years minimally. He's had a long time to work on this. On the other hand, let me just read one verse so that we can kind of get a little Hebrew in. Chapter 45, verse 1. Mem He Aleph. V'lo yachol Yosef leitapek. He could no longer withstand l'chol hanitzavim alav, all the stuff that is upon him.
He couldn't hold back, right?
He couldn't hold back all the weight that he feels. Vayikra, and he called out, Hotziu kol ish me'alai. Make everybody that's upon me leave, meaning to say, everybody get out of the room. V'lo amad ish ito, and there was no person with him. Bihitvada Yosef elechav, when Yosef revealed himself to his brothers. It reminds me a little bit, this verse, of a verse that we talked about a few weeks ago, which is Jacob was alone, and then he struggled with a person. So he's alone on the one hand, and on the other hand, is struggling. Here, Yosef is. There's no foreigners. All the cast is away. It's just mano y mano, right? Mano a mano, right? It's just me and you. And he showed himself who he was, and he cried. However, Egypt heard him cry. Like everybody heard it. It says V'yishmeu Mitzrayim, V'yishma Beit Paro. The house of Pharaoh heard that as well. And he says to them, Vayomer Yosef elachav, Ani Yosef. He says to his brothers, I am Joseph. Ha'od avi chai, is my father yet alive? And they couldn't answer him because they feared him. And in fact, the Medrash, great Medrash that I like a lot, says he spoke to them the holy tongue. They're like, no, you're not Joseph. And he told them all kinds of stuff about their life. They're like, nah, anybody could know that. Then he's like, let me show you my circumcision. They're like, all right, you're Joseph.
It's an awkward moment in Rashi. Yeah. She's like, here, come. Let me prove to them your brother. It's like, really?
Right, because they didn't believe it.
Well,
but then when they
at what point was he like, okay, I'll prove it to you?
Right. But that it's kind of humorous, but on a deeper way, I am part of the Abrahamic family. I'm not this Egyptian that you see before you.
Listen, it's not a small thing. I mean, for whatever it's worth, in our world, being circumcised is fairly common, at least amongst Americans in general. I don't know about Europeans, but you can't sort of overstate the unique nature of what you're speaking about in ancient Egypt.
Right.
This was not a common phenomenon.
Right, and even to this day, in some places, it's considered an abomination. A related theme is the theme of kashrut, ritual slaughtering And we just saw that Belgium came out with a decision that they're banning Jewish ritual slaughter and halal slaughter in Belgium. It's just a similar example to these people who think that they have a superior morality and that Jewish slaughter and Jewish circumcision is something that's
barbaric.
Yeah, barbaric, exactly. So he shows them that. Now, every year I say this to you, and I every year I feel the same way. Maybe I feel a little bit different about it this year. I still find that the very things that made Joseph so off-putting to his brothers, he still has exactly those very character traits. Those very character traits of being somewhat a person who does not realize that his words could offend and could seem haughty.
He doesn't read the room well.
He doesn't, which is funny, right? Because you think he's a master of reading the room. He knows how to talk to Pharaoh. He knows how to wield power in Egypt. But there's something about the way that he talks to his brothers, which is off-putting.
Relationship pieces, yeah.
And for example, verse 13, Vigadtem Levi, tell my father. Not our father. Tell my father. Et kol kvodi, all of my honor b'Mitzrayim in Egypt. Et kol sheraitem, and all that you have seen. Umihartem ve'oratem et avi hen. And you hurry up. Hurry. You better
get on now.
Get on now. Yeah, that's right. And bring my father down here.
Yeah. It's an uncomfortable. Every time I read that line in particular, kol kvodi, it's like, ooh, that's not a positive phrase. That's a biblical. It's a divine phrase. God says kol kvodi. Right? Humanity's not supposed to say that.
Right. Exactly. Just wanted to to bring in the other topic, but Nadia says
that's an interesting piece of information.
She says Europeans and most Brits don't circumcise. Royal family does.
Okay, I'm gonna just gonna leave that one where it lay. But thank you for that point of information.
I think that was a good snippet, but we can go on.
Oh, come on now! Just sing all those jokes. Grow up.
I'm sorry. Okay, let's go. Let's go.
I'm not letting it go. Moving on. I'm going to tell Ben that at this number of minutes, it's cutting that out.
That's right. Okay. But maybe what I've tried to come to a different consciousness this year is maybe the point is something that you just said a minute ago, which is even Joseph is a product of God. And his personality and his relationship and his story is engineered by God. And so therefore, even though you may not like on the interpersonal level his speaking patterns, his way, you accept at this point that that's the way it is. And that in some ways, I read once by Rabbi Nachman that I think a phrase that I liked very much. He's like, just like you can't exactly understand God, don't always expect to understand the righteous people.
Sure. You see actually a strong support for what you're saying in next week's parasha, when Yaakov Avinu finally passes away, and the brothers are immediately afraid that Joseph's just been waiting for Yaakov to pass before he takes revenge, and they come to Yosef and basically beg for mercy. You get from this the sense that as much as Yosef was welcoming and he wanted to make amends, etc., he was never really warm with them.
Right.
He wasn't what he was about. Right, he had stepped into his fullness, and he was going to take care of them. He was going to do right by them. He let go of, which is, by the way, let's just say, a rather superhuman accomplishment, lest we undervalue his ability to let go of the fact that his brothers beat him up, threw him in a pit, and sold him into slavery. And to really embrace the idea that God, everything is in the hands of God.
Right.
So yeah, it's understandable.
Right. So like I'm going to have to deal with Joseph the way he is. Like I'm not going to try to defeat him. I'm not going to try to change him. Like it looks like that's what God wanted and that's the way that. But at the same time, the challenge, Yehuda does pose a challenge to Joseph, and our sages basically read it as, I'm going to negotiate with you, but if you don't like it, I'm ready for conflict and war. And I'm a man of war, and I'm ready to fight you and Pharaoh, and to mess this place up. Yeah. So that's a very important thing. In any case, let's keep going. he shows favoritism to his brother Binyamin. Again, same thing, which is this whole thing came because Jacob showed favoritism to Joseph. You're doing the exact same thing now, but that's again my point is, which is like, okay, we're just gonna have to deal with it the way it is. Yeah. And they go up to Jacob, and he, just like the brothers didn't believe it, so does Jacob not believe it. They said to him, "Od Yosef Chai." Yosef is still alive. By the way, just today, because of the murder that happened, I gave money to the Od Yosef Chai Yeshiva, in Alon Moreh, right? In the
yeah. It's not in Shechem anymore.
And he says, and he's ruling all, and Yosef is ruling all of Egypt. And he didn't believe them. V'lo yamin lahem. Nah, come on, guys. Come on, what do you take me for? What is this? Is this a joke? And they talked to him, and they told him everything that Joseph spoke. But then, Vayaret ha'agalot asher shalach Yosef. He saw the carriages that Joseph had sent, and his spirit, v'tichi ruach Yaakov avihem. The spirit of Yaakov was enlivened. He was reborn. Our rabbis have an explanation about why these carriages were the ones that awoken him. But the simple meaning is he saw that it's real. There's like stuff. It's not just a story. Here comes these carriages from Egypt, and they're coming to bring him down. So,
and that's a very impressive display of wealth and power.
Right. It's like
where
10
were the
carriages.
brothers? The brothers went down there to buy food, and coming back with like huge covered wagons and and donkeys full of food, and that's like whoa.
Right. This is real. Now everything is all good. This is so great. Joseph is alive. We're going to be reunited. We're going to get through this famine. Like my son, is the ruler in Egypt. Sure, he's not a doctor, but he's the ruler in Egypt.
His brother's a doctor.
His brother's a doctor. That's right. So but he's the ruler in Egypt. Everything is dandy. I'm going down. I'm going to live out the rest of my life, and Joseph is going to take care of me and the family. Everything's great. But there is one little wrinkle, and that wrinkle is we, the family of Israel, have to go down to Egypt and leave the land of Israel. And so, to me, one of the most romantic of all verses in the Torah, reminiscent of when God calls Jacob back to the land of Israel when he's in Haran, and he says, Anochi ha'el Beitel, I am the God of Beitel. Now God is going to appear to Jacob in another holy city, and that holy city is Be'er Sheva, his father's city, and his grandfather's city, Be'er Sheva, the today called the capital of the Negev. And he's going to go down there on the way to Egypt. It's the last holy stop on the way to Egypt, this holy city of Beersheba. And God is going to appear to him in the visions of the night, and he's going to call him out, Yaakov, Yaakov. He's going to say, Vayomer Anochi Ha'el. The same term as Anochi Ha'el Beitel. He says, Vayomer Anochi Ha'el Eloi Avicha Al Tira Mirda Mitzrayma. Don't be afraid of going. I'm the God of your father. Don't be afraid of going down to Egypt. Ki legoy gadol asimech Hashem. I'm going to make you into a great nation there. Anochi ired imach Mitzrayma. I'll go down with you to Egypt. V'anochi alecha gam alo. However, I'm going to bring you back up. Indeed, I will. V'Yosef yashit yado aleinecha. And Yosef will close your eyes when you pass away. But I'm going to bring you back up, and you will be buried in Hebron, at the tomb of the patriarchs and matriarchs of Hebron. I'll ensure that. But God says, I know this is a tough moment for you. On the one hand, you're going to see Joseph, but on the other hand, you're leaving the land of Israel. Don't worry. It's meant to be, and I'll bring you back to the good land.
And in a certain sense, this is the closing bracket to the journey of the Avot. Even though the story's not over, and Yaakov will have his time in Egypt with Yosef, and the very important, part of the lies ahead of his brachot. When you see this, Ki legoy gadol asim Hashem, right? That's the closing bracket to the promise with which this whole journey began. Lech lecha ma'aretzecha me'oladticha el haaretz asher areka ve'esed lecha legoy gadol, right? That's God's promise. I'm going to make you a great nation in Eretz Yisrael. And now Yaakov's like, we're leaving Eretz Yisrael. I'm not a great nation. I got a bunch of kids. It's impressive, but God says, no. This is where it's actually going to happen. Mm-hmm. This is where the transformation from family to people will take place.
Wow. That's
You
right.
know, so it's an important phrase there,
Very
not
good.
to be missed.
Very good. That's right. You're going to become a great nation, not just a great family, not just a lot of children, but Legoy Gadol. You're going to become a great nation, the Jewish nation. As you're explaining, they're going to be really formed in Egypt, and the great birth of the nation is the splitting of the Red Sea. I wanted to just throw out one more thought to you, which is, it's actually something very important to me personally, which is, I actually think that Pharaoh also has dreams that he understands what they mean. And what his dream is, we all know it's about the 7 years of plenty and 7 years of famine. But my explanation is different. I think that what he's really dreaming is, you Jews are going to come into Egypt and we're going to swallow you. You're going to get swallowed up in Egypt, and our culture is going to swallow you up, and there won't be any remnant of you left. That's why he dreams about the cows of Egypt, the ones that he says, I've never seen ones like this in Egypt, but that's Egypt, will swallow the shore, which is Joseph. He's represented by an ox. We're going to swallow you up, and the sheaves of unhealthy corn, unhealthy wheat is going to swallow the healthy wheat. By the way, one of my proofs is that the word bekaneh echad, which is the healthy corn, the healthy wheat that gets swallowed up, comes in one stalk, separates into 7. That word only appears about the menorah. The Baal HaTurim says that it only appears on one other time, which is 2 times here and 1 time there, which is this 7. This is like the menorah. So anyway,
It's also 7 star, yeah.
Egypt is going to swallow you guys up. So when Pharaoh hears that it's time for Jacob to come down, he says, I'm commanding you to bring them down. But Joseph sets out immediately a plan to separate the Jews, a separate place for them to live in the land of Goshen, a separate behavior pattern, which is that they are shepherds, and that is the bane of Egypt. It's somehow disgusting to Egypt to have shepherds, because I guess the sheep, the cattle are the gods of Egypt. And so there's an immediate attempt at the end of this Torah portion to make sure that the Jews are not Egyptians, and that they're separated and not swallowed in Egypt like the dreams of Pharaoh.
Yeah, it's part of that power of God's promise to Yaakov that God will not only go down with Yaakov, but bring him back up, right? And then when Yaakov fulfills that promise, as we'll speak about next week, or when the sons fulfill that promise on the behalf of God for Yaakov by bringing him back to the patriarchs and the matriarchs, right? It's because you're not from here. And this is why this is the archetype of exile. Remembering that exile is only exile if you believe you are other than where you belong.
Right.
And so what Joseph has to keep alive in the minds of the brothers and then their descendants is, you do not belong here. Even though you're settling here and it's great here and we're gonna save you from the famine, etc., etc. Exile is an internal belief that I am not where I belong.
Right. And another way that they do that, all of them, is by making themselves look a little bit smaller to Egypt. It's like, we're not that special, and we're different than you, and you don't, we're not. And the most famous scene is that finally a great summit occurs. Jacob meets Pharaoh. Right? This is like an awesome, it's the meeting of, Putin and Trump. It's
I picture Yoda and the Emperor, actually.
Okay, Yoda and the Emperor, or whatever. There's many movies where it's like the final showdown or the final meeting, and Pharaoh says, "Gosh, how old are you?"
It's a great moment, huh?
Right. It's interesting. It's interesting. I just connected this now. Pharaoh is the only person in the whole Bible that we know that has a birthday.
Yeah.
So, and he's like, but
presumably everyone else did too, but he's the only one we get celebrating it.
Celebrated a birthday, and he's and maybe he's a little bit preoccupied with age. He's like, so how old are you exactly?
Well, I mean, we know this of the Egyptians. I mean, that picture behind you of the pyramids is a monument to how much the Egyptians sort of like worship. Either you could see it as worshiping life and fearing death, you could see it as worshiping death, but certainly it was important to them that there be a lasting monument. Right? Those are crypts that are behind you.
Right.
Any society whose leaders build such a monument to their own life or death, depending on how you look at it, is quite concerned about age.
Yeah. It would be fun to think about the tension between the pyramids and the Tomb of the Patriarchs, and how they work differently and how they're remembered differently.
That is actually a very interesting parallel. You're
Because
right.
because these are both like, I think about the only difference is that you like Egyptology is like, I was studying a little bit this week. It's long and hard to understand, and different kingdoms and different dynasties and all kinds of stuff like that. But in any case, there's definitely a tension there. In any case, Jacob's answer is Vayomer Yaakov el Paro. Jacob says to Pharaoh, Yemei shnei megurai shloshim u'me'at shana. The years of my sojournings are 130 years. Me'at ura'im, few and bad, hayu yemei shnei chayai, were the years of my life, days of my life. Lo isigu et yemei shnei chayai avotai, and I did not reach the life of my forefathers, b'yemei megurim, when they sojourned. Vayivarech Yaakov et Paro. Yaakov blessed Pharaoh. Vayitzeh milifnei Paro, and he left Pharaoh. Today, I think I understand why. I was so troubled by this. Like, here's your chance to say how God is great. Instead, he's like, "Ay, my life, don't ask.
Cracks.
Don't ask.
Cracks.
Don't even ask. Ay. Don't even ask. Forget about it." But I think the answer is actually a Sephardic answer. It's a Bli Ayin Hara answer.
Right. Like, no.
Yeah, no, nothing special here. Nothing to look at.
I mean, there's also, by the way, some very sort of realpolitik wisdom in this, in that you don't want to appear in any way competitive with Paro.
Right. This
is not going to end well for anybody.
Right. And then there is one of the most enigmatic parts of the book of Genesis, which is Joseph's economic manhandling,
Reorganization.
Economic reorganization, wealth distribution.
It's almost a Keynesian economic approach.
Well, I mean, but there is something economic that's happening here. That's for sure.
It's a complete restructuring of Egypt's economy into a slave nation,
Right.
owned
So
personally by Paro.
Right, which all comes from the realization of Pharaoh's dreams, which Joseph interpreted, which he understood that the famine is going to keep going. And so instead of kind of making sure that everybody's going to make it through this period on their feet, it's exactly the opposite. He turns them into
Dependents,
serfs.
and slaves. Serfs. This is serfdom.
Serfs, I think, it's a serfdom. I think,
He literally, because he purchases the land, then he purchases the people, and then he makes sure the people that have to work the land continually and give a portion of their labor to Paro.
So
Yesterday,
Eugene Kantorovich, my good friend who prays with me in the same synagogue, says to me, he goes, well, Mida Keneged Mida, and I like how do we translate that?
It's a measure for measure, literally.
The measure for measure. The karmic result of that is that the Jewish people became enslaved. So he enslaved Egypt, and then the Jews became enslaved. I'm like, no, I don't think it's measure for measure. I think it's like he set it up so that the Jews would become enslaved.
Well, I mean, this is all me'et Hashem haytazot, meaning it's all from God, and we do say that God works midah keneged midah. I'm hesitant to apply midah keneged midah in this context because it's usually meant to understand, like even though I don't love the reference to the karmic cycle because I don't think we need it. I mean, midah keneged midah is its own phenomenon, but it's usually one's actions returning to them, God paying us out in the way in which we act in the world, like this notion of the responsive creation.
Right.
But here, it's a little bit different because this is not something Joseph does to the Egyptians and therefore is done to Am Yisrael, right? This is, I think, in many ways, an important historical record of a shift that Egyptian society went through, where to the extent that we have sort of extra biblical historical context for the story of the Joseph and the brothers, and then ultimately the Exodus. It has to do with the shepherd kings, the Hyksos, who were sort of like foreign migrant rulers over Egypt, who essentially reorganized society to their benefit. And on one hand, that allowed the Jews to come in and live. I mean, Paro says you'll live off the fat of the land, right? You're gonna live like what do you mean you live off the fat of the land? Like what in the middle of a famine, you're gonna invite foreigners in to live the best part of the land? That doesn't happen unless you yourself, as a foreigner, you're basically building your power base. And Yosef just does what he's commissioned. I mean, on some level, what's he supposed to do? He's not going to give away the grain for free. That type of sort of economic altruism that you implied, he wants to make sure that everyone gets through on their feet. That's an anachronism.
Well,
that's an anachronism.
Yes,
They live in a society. They live in a society in which the people of the land are a step above cattle in the eyes of Pharaoh and his aristocrats. I'm not saying that it's morally, desirable. I'm just talking about the sort of reality.
Yes, but the Torah is, I think, kind of showing us this thing. I don't think that the way this Torah is portraying it is this is an awesome thing that happened. It's kind of
something. On some level, it's the natural conclusion of these sort of monarchical agricultural societies that they oppress humanity. In many ways, it serves as a warning for whatever society, the great nation that is produced by it. I mean, just think about it.
Yes, but why is it that Yosef is doing that? That's the question here. Okay, like everything you're saying is good, but Joseph, he's the emissary to do that?
Because Gamzomi Hashem, right? Right. This is also from God, and we've seen consistently as a theme through Bereshit that creating the right conditions or making the right decisions does not come without cost. This is the conditions, as you says, which will be the core barzel, the sort of iron crucible that will forge Am Yisrael into a nation. But making such a vessel is a critical act. It doesn't mean it's without cost.
And proves again that Joseph is an incredible catalyst in history.
Yes.
He is the Jew that serves the role as catalyst, as societal change, and he changes the story of the Jewish people, and he changes the story of Egypt.
Yes.
And there's something about this man, and that's Me'et Hashem. That's the point. I'm not Joseph is I'm not really just me. I'm really my role is as a catalyst in history. That's what I do. And maybe that's also why I'm not so interpersonal, if you will. My thing is different. I'm here to bring the God's will enacted through history.
A new world order.
A new world order. If people want to hear more about Jewish history, there's no better place than your other podcast here on the Land of Israel Network and on your website. ravmike.com and jewishstory.co, which is the Jewish Story podcast. My brother Josh has become an avid listener of your show, and he loves it a lot. So that's really fun. And also, we have fabulous folks that make this show possible. Our sponsors today, we're featuring Aleph Mail, which is alephmail.com with a PH, right? ALEPH. Aleph Mail, like Alpha Mail, but Aleph Mail. It's makes your beard fabulous, majestic. And I would add sage-like with 100% natural beard oil and beard balm handmade in Israel. And if you go to alephmail.com, type in coupon code Yishai10, you will really be
pleasantly surprised.
That's right. You will just smell better, and that's really great, and be a stronger man with the light of Israel. And also, let's say more for women, but still also for men. Our good friends at Salves of Jerusalem. Salves of Jerusalem make fabulous creams and salves that will make your body feel healthy. Also, all made in Israel, and with things like myrrh. Remember, don't mind the myrrh next time. This time, mind the myrrh. That is what I say. Okay, mind the myrrh.
Hey, man.
All right? So that's at salvesofjerusalem.com. Coupon code Yishai. Once again, we'll give you 10% off. And they're really fun sponsors for the show. And maybe one last sponsor, our good friends at Blessed by Israel, blessedbyisrael.com. Go to Blessed by, B-U-I. You buy something, you're blessed by Israel, and get something awesome. A lot of people listened to me and got their olive oil for Hanukkah from the Land of Israel. And there's lots of gift-giving reasons coming up. Let's get ready for Tu B'Shvat by getting, which is really the next holiday in about a month and a half. So get something from Blessed by Israel. Also, coupon code Yishai will give you 12, like the 12 tribes off. 12%, like the 12 tribes. You know what I mean.
I got you.
That's right. Rav Mike Feuer, I want to wish you a happy post-Hanukkah. Okay, happy...
Gesundte Winter.
Yeah, Gesundte Winter, a rematriculation into regular non-vacation life.
It's been a slow transition.
We need your prayers, Rav Mike, and everybody that's listening right now for a stronger, better Israel. It's clear that we are going through a bit of a, shall we say, a bumpy patch in the near future, with maybe a rise, God forbid, in terrorism. There were 2 attacks yesterday. I forgot to mention there was an attack also in the Old City.
Yeah,
so
attempted
2
shooting
terrorist
attack,
attacks.
yeah.
That's right. And we also have political issues, and we may have issues with the new American administration. And so all that together makes for a time that we need prayer.
Not to mention the pandemic thing.
Oh, that little pandemic thing. Did I mention that
Global
my brother,
disruption.
my brother's wife was supposed to fly to see her mother, and she was locked out because the planes are not flying. And says Kobe says, can't forget about the attack on the Hilltop Youth by the Israeli police. We talked about that in the beginning. So lots of issues right now that we need to kind of flush out in the process of maturing into who we are, which is the Jewish people in the land of Israel. The one light is the continuation of the Abraham Accords, including today's historic flight on El Al from Israel to Morocco, and really a reproach month there that is long in coming, because Morocco and Israel have long had good feelings.
And
now,
very important secret diplomatic relations.
That's right. Secret
Morocco's
diplomatic relations.
played
That's right.
some key roles in time in the last decades.
That's right. Oh, I got a story for you from Morocco before you go. Last story, okay? Can you wait for one more minute, Rav Mike?
Yeah. Let her rip.
Okay. I heard the story this past Shabbat. The Baba Sali, Rabbi Abu Chatzera, was once doing Kiddush Levana at the very last day that you can for sanctifying the new moon. And there were clouds over that new moon. And the Sephardim, they don't say the blessing of new moon if it's covered even a little with clouds. So he takes out his hanky and he goes, and the clouds kind of erase from the sky. And everybody's like, whoa. And they say the blessing. And he puts his hanky away and the clouds come right back. And they say to him, that was a miracle. And he goes, yeah, that is a miracle. But let me tell you why I had that miracle happen to me. Because 25 years ago, when I was much younger, 25 years ago, I heard, where we were living in Morocco, I heard it was exactly the same situation. It was the last day to say the blessing on the new moon. And I heard, I looked up to the sky and I saw that it was cloudy. And I said, we can't do it. But I heard that if you take the train to Marrakesh, 3 days train ride.
The Marrakesh Express.
The Marrakesh Express, that if you take this train ride over there, the clouds don't penetrate the mountains, and you could say it. So I took the train to Marrakesh, and then there were no clouds there, and I was able to say the blessing for my whole community. And it's because I made that extra effort back then that God has given me the power for miracles today. I think
Nefesh.
Yeah, the moral of the story is right. Self-sacrifice and a real effort towards sanctity and holiness in this great time that we're living in. Rav Mike Feuer, thank you for all your great work. Please check out jewishstory.co and ravmike.com. There we go. That's just that simple.
All right, thanks so much.
God bless you, everybody. Can I ever say Shabbat Shalom already? It's just
Tuesday. Come on.
It's not even Wednesday.
Oh, go for it. Reb Shlomi say good Shabbos, the Motzei Shabbos.
That's right. Shavua Tov and
Shabbat Shalom.
And good
Take
vinter.
care.
God bless you, Rav Mike. Thank you so much.
Amen.
All right, folks, thank you so much for joining me here on the Yishai Fleisher Show. Thank you to Malkah Fleisher. Thank you to Rav Mike Feuer. And thank you for being with us till the end here. Write me an email, yishai@yishaifleisher.com or yishaithelandofisrael.com. Hashtag post-Hanukkah blues. Hashtag 10th of Tevet. Hashtag Corona blues. Hashtag fourth elections. Whatever you want to talk to me about, I really would love to hear from you, because that is a great way of supporting us emotionally. You could also support us physically spiritually by praying for us, and we'll pray right back for you, and physically by donating at yishaifleisher.com/support. Makes a big difference. Rate us highly on wherever podcast system you're using. Also makes a big difference to get it out through the net waves to the world, and the high rating makes other people see it and makes the almighty algorithm work in our favor, work in the favor of Torah. But more than anything, folks, we always ask you, stay connected to the God of Israel, who is broadcasting 24/7. He is the ultimate sponsor of our show, so we can't thank anybody but him for our life, for this time, for the land of Israel, for the Torah of Israel, for the people of Israel, and for the light of Israel that's coming out to you wherever you are. So lots of love and lots of blessings from the land of blessings, and shalom.
Enhance your faith, deepen your understanding, align your destiny with the Land of Israel. Every Sunday, the Land of Israel Fellowship features a live interactive Zoom session hosted by Jeremy Gimpel. That's the Land of Israel Fellowship, bringing the Torah from Judea to the world. For more information, visit thelandofisrael.com/fellowship.